Well, the Trade and Industry Minister speaks of Africa being a fast-growing continent, and that continent will definitely need to industrialize in order to bring along the very young people that make up the bulk of Africa. Ntokozo Khumalo is now at the BRICS Business Council Trade Fair in Midrand, and she joins us now to tell us exactly what has been happening there. Ntokozo, we understand you're standing by to speak to the IDC.
Good afternoon, Tutu. Indeed, it's been quite a packed morning today, focusing on the manufacturing industry. And as you played that soundbite from Minister Patel, the focus has really been around improved collaborations and what kind of investments are needed to really see the industrialization of the economy, with manufacturing, of course, being one of those industries that we need to see the industrialization happen there. And some of the talking points around where investment is needed is digital skills to bring in those young people in the changing face of manufacturing and the future face of manufacturing. And of course, an MOU was also signed between the IDC and the China Africa Development Fund to help fast track that a little bit. But to talk through what the Industrial Development Corporation is doing here at home, I am now joined by Mark Goliath, who is the head of textiles and wood at the IDC, and it's of course part of that manufacturing cluster. You were on the panel, and of course it was talking about investments, it was talking about the role digital has to play, and green manufacturing. Talk us through some of those points, but also highlight the fund that the IDC recently launched to really fast track that.
Thank you. So South African manufacturing entities obviously face a tough challenge at the moment, and they have for the last few years. Consistency of energy supply is key to ensuring that you can keep the manufacturing wheels turning. South Africa at the moment is obviously looking at many solutions, and the IDC is a funder into some of those solutions. We focused on SMMEs, especially for energy. We've launched a new fund called the Energy Resilience Fund, aimed at SMMEs where they can access cheaper funding for energy solutions to ensure continuity in manufacturing. The fund has just been launched, and it's 2 tiers. One, it's looking at funding what we call ESCOs, or energy service providers, who then partner with SMMEs. And secondly, where SMMEs or SMEs want to put in their own energy solutions. And we see that it's going to have a massive impact in ensuring the continuity and sustainability of these manufacturing plants.
And now we've obviously been talking to some of the business owners that are in manufacturing, and definitely energy and water security, a big challenge for them. As we move towards just energy transition, talk us through the funding mechanisms for greener manufacturing. What does that actually look like?
So the IDC has a few. At the core of our funding ethos is to look at sustainable funding. We want to be a responsible investor and partner to the manufacturing sector. So every application that we receive or every new project we go into, we try and ensure that we put best-in-class green solutions in place where possible. Where we're funding existing manufacturing entities and there is a gap in where we would like companies to be and where they are, we work with them and collaborate to ensure that we can partner and move towards that best-in-class solutions. So we partner with government. We use IDC's own on-balance sheet funding, and we co-fund with the Manufacturing Competitiveness Improvement Program, MSEP, from the DTIC, so that we can give manufacturing entities a good blended rate of funding to make it cheaper for them to implement some of these energy solutions or water recycling solutions that are required.
And talk us through how entrepreneurs can become more aware of such funds that the IDC does have out there. Are we really seeing that engagement with business owners actively and proactively looking for these funds, engaging with you? But I think a big talking point as well is, while they're accessing these new markets through BRICS, driving localization and ensuring that South Africans actually consume South African products.
Well, I think it's twofold. South Africans are not averse to consuming South African manufactured products. The issue is, with coming through the pandemic, we've seen that having more local manufacturing capacity assists with getting goods to market, and I think our retail sector is coming on board with that. So we're seeing more localization, especially in the sectors that I look after, which is clothing and textiles, as well as the wood-based industry, which is furniture. So I believe it's inevitable that we will see growth in those sectors locally. How can people access? We obviously have various platforms. We're actually doing road shows at the moment with various manufacturing industries or industry clusters to promote some of these funds that I spoke about. But also our website has all the information on it. If we, just in case we don't get to all the sectors that are covered, so we're always contactable if anybody needs any further information.
And let's drill in a little bit on your departments, textiles and wood. Textiles has obviously been a big talking point, especially even within the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. What opportunities do lie in that space?
I think there's significant opportunities. You know, one of the biggest issues is that South Africa produces a lot of cotton, or Southern Africa produces a lot of cotton, but we beneficiate very little of it. And what we're trying to do now is increase that beneficiation within South Africa, but also within the region, so that we can offer locally produced product to the local consumer, and further than that, look at exporting those products into the international markets. So we see a massive opportunity in both the clothing and textile sectors at present.
Mark, thank you so much for talking to us. Of course, that's Mark Goliath, who is the head of textiles and wood at the Industrial Development Corporation, talking us through not just the fund that they've recently established and launched for manufacturers in the space, but also some of the opportunities that are out there in order to really drive localization. So the IDC going on the roadshow, I think manufacturers can probably visit their website to see where those road shows will be taking place in order to get that information of how to access that fund, how to put the project forward for funding, and perhaps be able to be part of the growth story within South Africa's manufacturing industry. And of course the focus as well in today's sessions, Dudu, was focusing on saying that it's not just about BRICS and the BRICS nations, but the trickle-down effects and the parallels between the African Continental Free Trade Area, and how manufacturers can really take advantage of that to not only grow their operations, but also be able to access new markets on the continent with the BRICS nations, but also accelerate being able to get a bigger market share right here at home, Dudu.